Hey everybody, welcome to PixelBlips Podcast for January 27th, 2013. I'm Andy Ryan, charter member of the Sons of Erdict Historical Society. Next to me is the man whose spirit animal is a Dragon Quest slime, Dave DeWart. Dave, what are you playing this week?
I love slimes.
Everyone loves slimes.
I
They're
love
happy.
little blue slimes.
Little blue slimes.
I've been playing Uncharted.
Everyone hates metal slimes.
I've been playing Uncharted Golden Abyss on my Vita.
Yes.
I've never played an Uncharted game before. Like, this is my first entry into that franchise. Yes, I know. I've never played.
What?
I'm terrible at third-person shooters.
People like you exist. How could you not? I mean,
There's the entire population of people who own only Xboxes that have never played an Uncharted game.
I can't even fathom someone who in 2013 has not played Uncharted 2, but okay.
Again, the entire population of people who don't own PS3s. But yeah, so I've been playing that. I'm having a lot of fun with it. It makes me want to go buy like the 3-pack or the 2-pack for the first couple of games, just to see what this game, how this game plays on a large console. I think part of that might be because the auto aim is really good on the Vita version.
Yeah.
Because I'm terrible at over-the-shoulder shooters.
Yeah. Well, auto aim's adjustable on all three of the home console versions.
So and I'm having fun with it. It's it's free for PS Plus users, so that's part of the reason why I downloaded it again. I had it downloaded initially, but my card got full, so I had to get rid of some stuff.
But it's very good, and it's interesting. It'll be interesting once you're done with it, and then you play the other Uncharted to hear someone's opinion, because this Uncharted Golden Abyss, there is kind of the half step in the development between what Uncharted 1 was and Uncharted 2 is.
Okay, so it's not like storyline wise. Where does it fall between the three games?
Well before the first one.
So this is like a prequel to everything. Okay. Cool. Neat to know. I mean,
yeah.
that would be the way to play it then, I guess, is to play the Vita 1 and then play the first and second.
It'll be interesting. Like, I remember talking to a kid a couple weeks ago, months ago now, that had just bought the God of War saga, the 5 games.
Yeah, see, I was talking to my wife. It's like, maybe next month we should just play through all the God of War games again.
Yeah.
Because I've got the collection with 1 and 2, and then I got the PSP collection with the 2 PSP games, and I have 3 still. Great. With Ascension coming out in what, March?
March.
Schmarch. The Ides of March.
Yeah.
That's
damn Schmarch weather. Anyway, yes. So it was interesting talking to that kid and like him complaining how the storyline doesn't really fit together when you're playing it through sequentially, which I could totally understand. That's not how I played them. So in my mind,
well, you played them as they came out too.
Yeah.
So
I was. God of War is a big thing for me.
Yeah. But playing through it, playing God of War. If you start with, I think it's Chains, right? Chains is chronologically the first game, and then it's the first one.
What it will be is Ascension will be the first game.
Well, but right now, like the games that you can play right now, Chains is chronologically the first game, and then it's 1, and then it's Ghost, and then it's 2 and 3. Is that how that works? That's the way that I thought it worked.
Yes, that's how it works.
Because anyway.
2 and 3 butt up to each other, so that's the easy part.
Because that's easy.
I believe Ghost of Sparta is after God of War 1.
Because you are the God of War at the beginning, and you lose all your stuff trying to get your brother, save your brother. Is that how that works?
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
I don't know. Anyway, I've been playing Uncharted, and
is Ares still in that one? Maybe. No, you're right. Because when you go to Sparta, the people worship you as a god.
As Kratos, God of War.
Yeah. So okay, there we go.
And I've still been working on XCOM. My second playthrough is going a lot better. I've learned a lot of stuff. Stuff on how to not screw up and kill your guys, but I keep losing. How to not run into a room full of aliens and watch your support character get destroyed, even though that still happens because they spawn up randomly. It seems. But yeah, so pretty much Uncharted and XCOM.
Cool.
Two very
different.
Well, play style different, but very similar games, and you shoot stuff with guns.
And welcome to the Uncharted bandwagon.
Well, I'll see what I think at the end of this, and then I may spend the $20-$25 to get the 2-pack and then 3.
Yeah.
I was thinking about buying another PS3, but
Golden Abyss. Yeah, Golden Abyss doesn't do the thing that Uncharted has become famous for in the 3rd act. And if you've played an Uncharted game, you know that thing that I'm talking about. I'm not going to spoil it for other people. But Golden Abyss does not do it. So.
Okay, well, whatever.
So that'll be fun for you.
The backstab or the giant plot turns?
You'll see. Once you play the other Uncharted.
Well, I'll just borrow yours. Hell.
Yeah, I do have all of them. So, so let's see. What have I been playing this week? I played I didn't have a lot of time off this week. I had an extra day of work, but I played Lego Lord of the Rings. Still chugging away at that.
How far are you now?
Oh, I'm at like 98% or something.
So you're almost at the part where Gollum jumps into the mountain.
No, 98. I'm
you've
with the
completed.
Main storyline. I'm now
You're going and
collecting things.
Completionist, Andy.
That just doesn't. I mean, the closer and closer I get to 90, and like the more
or 100
weird platforming aspects of it show up, it becomes a hassle. I don't know that I'm going to go 100% with it, but it was a very enjoyable game.
Yeah, I mean, and my wife played the crap out of it. I've yet to touch it because I've been playing other stuff on my Vita, but.
Let's see, what else did I play? Not a lot. Like I said, I really haven't had a ton of time.
Other than the big game.
And yes, I've played the big game. So the big game that came out this week was No Kuni, The Wrath of the White Witch.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's pretty. I haven't played it. I watched an extended play or something like that where somebody plays it for like 35,
He watched
40.
the quick look on Giant Bomb.
I did.
We have no problem endorsing the quick look on Giant
Anyway,
Bomb.
I watched that, and even though he was skipping around a lot, I mean, the animation style, like it reminds me of some animes that were really that I loved back in the day, like when I was younger.
I'm in a part now where I'm in the desert, and it is just.
Are you getting ready to do the Temple of Trials or whatever?
Yes, I am into that part.
You're at the same part where the quick look ends.
Yes, but I am right now. It reeks of kind of the look of Nausicaa and the Valley of the Wind. So, quick thing about Ni no Kuni for those that don't know, it's a joint venture between Level 5 game development house and Studio Ghibli, an animation house. Studio Ghibli, which is famous the world over for movies like Spirited Away, Nausicaa and the Valley of the Wind. My Neighbor Totoro, Kiki's Delivery Service.
Those are the
my favorite, which is Princess Mononoke.
Did they also do Grave of the Fireflies?
Yes, they did. Grave of the Fireflies, which is the most depressing movie in the world.
If you don't cry at the end of that, you have no soul.
Yeah. If you don't cry for days at the end of that, you have no soul. Like even right now, I'm getting kind of klimped. Anyway. So yes, Studio Ghibli did all the character designs and some of the story arc, and they did all the 2D animation for the cutscenes.
Yeah.
And their fingerprints are all over this game. One of the first dungeons, you're in this old growth forest, finding the guardian of the forest. And it reeks of Princess Mononoke, like to the point where I thought the little spirits were going to start popping up everywhere.
Oh, that'd be cool.
And it is super fun. I really enjoy it. I've always really enjoyed Level 5's Japanese RPGs because they kind of are keeping the. I'm getting excited.
I know you are.
They're kind of keeping the spirit of the old school Japanese RPGs alive in ways that Square Enix, what I would consider the other powerhouse, isn't. Level 5, a lot of you may know them from last generation's biggest RPGs, Dark Cloud and Dragon Quest VIII, and one of my favorites that no one ever plays, Rogue Galaxy.
Yeah.
And they just do really wonderful things. Their worlds are just caked in whimsy and humor. Studio Ghibli was the perfect partner for them, I think. This has been really fun. And if you've never played a Level 5 RPG before, this is the one to start on.
Yeah.
As someone who has played all of them so far, excepting the redone version of White Knight Chronicles 1 that shipped with White Knight Chronicles 2. As someone who's played
most of their library.
Yeah, most of their library that has been released in the West. This is probably the most accessible. I would say the only one that's probably more accessible is Dragon Quest VIII, Journey of the Cursed King, just because 1, it's a Dragon Quest game, 2, it's wonderful, and 3, it's like a third of the price, if that, of Ni no Kuni.
If you can find it.
No, I mean, I've never had a problem finding that at a game store. Remember, it came with the Final Fantasy XII demo.
Oh, that's right. That's why everybody had it.
Yeah. So, and it's super good. The only problem was this kind of goes for all Dragon Quest games, just on a tangent. Dragon Quest games don't really have that. The overarching story isn't really that important as kind of the little mini adventure stories that you get when you go to different towns.
Oh, like
it's more episodic.
The sub-stories for those areas and
the
side
big overarching
things.
story definitely comes out in the end, but it's not like a Final Fantasy VII where it's all this story.
Yeah, that's one big, huge story.
Yeah. So, and Ni no Kuni seems to be more in the vein of it is all this story. Now, granted, I've only played the first 8 hours, so But the story that has shown itself is amazing, and once again filled with whimsy.
Yeah, I mean, it looks really like just watching that quick look, and it made me go download the demo so I could try it out when I get home tonight. Or this afternoon.
Kind of hokey. I will give it that. It is kind of hokey.
Well, I mean, it's got a lot of those tropes where it's like, this is the boy who's going to save the world. Well,
and a large part of the story is fixing the brokenhearted.
Yeah.
So the evil wizard that you fight has gone around in this fantasy world, No Kuni, another world, and broken people's hearts and taken parts of their heart so that they are incomplete.
Yeah.
And you have to then go around to other people that have an exuberance or an excess of that quality that he stole from these people. Take it from the person that has the excess, give it to the person that has
that needs
the deficit, and that's, like I said, that's a lot of your side quests kind of fall into that kind of fetch questy area.
Yeah.
And kind of the mini stories that arise from that are pretty endearing so far.
Yeah.
At the 8 to 10 hour area.
Well, it seems like a really neat game, and if I can convince the wife to let me play it, because it's not, I don't play games that she won't, watch me play, and she's not big into anime at all. She just thinks it's silly cartoons. So it's like,
well, this isn't an anime-esque story.
No, it's not, but she sees the art style and she gets turned off immediately.
Not like White Knight Chronicles was a very anime-esque story.
Yeah,
this one is more of a kiddie movie story, and that's that's what you should know going into it. Is this story is like kind of a fairy tale based for children.
It is. Well, I mean, don't they have like the side stories of like I was just in the quick look, I was seeing like he's going through the Wizard's book and there was like Puss in Boots and things like that.
Well, it's not Puss in Boots, but so that we'll bring that in.
Yeah.
So a large. This isn't the first Ni no Kuni game that was made. The first Ni no Kuni game was for the Nintendo DS, and it came with a big, thick Wizard's Guide. That Wizard's Guide book lives inside the PS3 edition in kind of a searchable PDF type format. That's really fun and really good.
It's cool.
And the art and the backstory for everything is done really well. So you'll get like fairy tales that aren't Puss in Boots, but they're like the story of the Guardians of the Forest.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So Namco, who the publishing company behind this, did something cool and had a Ni no Kuni kind of Kickstarter-esque thing during the summer where you could donate money and pledge money, and they would continually build out this Wizards edition. And the Wizards edition, as it ended up, included a hard copy of this Wizards Guide book, which is the only thing in the Wizards edition that I actually feel like I want.
Yeah.
And I really hope they publish it separately. I would probably pay $20 for it right now. You
probably would wind up paying more than $20 for it, depending on how thick it is.
Well, it's like 300 pages or something. But anyway. So I would definitely pay for it separately. They also have a plush character of Drippy, your sidekick in the game.
The guy with the lantern on his nose?
Yep, Drippy. Who's awesome. Probably one of the best things about the game.
Yeah, that's what I keep hearing is the way that like his accent and whatnot.
Yeah, his personality like shines through. And the other thing is you're playing a kid, and he has a personality. The kid has a person. The kid speaks. It's not like Dragon Quest, but he's a kid, so he kind of has a blank slate type personality. And then Drippy, who has a very clearly defined awesome personality, comes to the forefront.
That's cool.
So what happened with this Wizard Edition is they said in August, pre-order the Wizards Edition and we'll send it to you.
Yeah.
You had to go to Namco's website. You couldn't get it from Amazon. You couldn't get it from GameStop. You couldn't get it from
Best Buy or anything. Through Namco only.
Namco only. And the problem seems to be that the middleware that they used for their online order fulfillment broke.
Oh.
And basically it oversold this Wizards Edition by a lot.
Like 200%, something like that.
Something
more than what it should have.
They're not releasing actual numbers, but
okay.
Given the outrage and the response to the outrage, it is a significant margin. And what has happened is people that had pre-ordered the game who thought they were going to get the game, were just getting their orders canceled.
Oh wow!
Just like flat out.
Oh.
So
that sucks.
Clearly, it's a big problem for Namco from a customer relations standpoint,
it is.
And it's a big problem for people that want to play this game.
Oh yeah,
and really want, because these are the people that want to play the game and really want to play the game because they wanted this special edition. So what also has come out is during this Ni no Kuni starter Kickstarter time, you could just pledge that you would buy 200 or 400 copies of the game. Yeah, that's how they did it, so you could build up. So they fulfilled those orders first.
Oh, man.
Well, one of those orders was a company called Play Canada, apparently, who's an eBay reseller. and has been selling these Wizards editions for like 200% markups.
Oh shit.
So it is a lot of money that people are spending. So people started crying foul that Namco was, going behind their backs and betraying their fans. Once again, Namco is a big company; they're in it to make money. So they actually came out with a response and said, we did not do this. It was not our fault. It was this middleware provider. We're working with them. We're going to try and find, and this is why I hope they end up publishing the Wizards book
separately. They're going to find a way to.
They're going to try and find a way to make stuff up. And what they're doing right now is they're giving the people whose orders were canceled $20 Namco store money free, and a free copy of the Prima Strategy Guide, which I've seen the Prima Strategy Guide, and it's hardcover, one of those really nice ones. I think it normally retails for $40.
Yeah, 25 to $40.
I almost bought it, but I was already spending $60 on a game.
Yeah.
So it's not quite the Wizards edition. Namco's doing their best to try and
make up for it and say, hey, we screwed up, or something along our lines screwed up, but you're not getting what you ordered here.
Yeah.
And it's good on them to try, at least, but they're not going to make everybody happy.
Yeah, and it's frustrating from a fan's point of view because I think we've talked a lot about collector's editions and special editions that aren't necessarily all that special, and this was one of the ones that was.
Yeah.
That really brought something to the table that this is more than just extra pre-order DLC. This is more than just a 20-page art book. This is like a real, like Working Designs-esque special edition. Yeah, it is. And it's frustrating to me, and I hope the publishers, specifically JRPG publishers, because JRPGs are becoming a very niche market.
They are.
Don't look at this and say, well, we're not going to do special editions anymore because bad stuff's going to happen.
Not necessarily. You just have to handle it properly.
Yeah. And I think Namco has learned that whoever's middleware they were using, they're not using again.
They're never going to touch that company again, which is good because they probably shouldn't.
Yeah. So that was the big news in the JRPG realm this week. The slightly smaller news in the JRPG realm was the fact that Monolith Soft, the makers of one of my favorite PS2 RPG series, Xenosaga, and one of the few RPGs for the Wii, Xenoblade, are working on a sequel to Xenoblade for the Wii U.
Not so good.
Yeah, well, that doesn't matter.
Well, just say. Neither of us have one.
This came out during Nintendo Direct, which is, once again, I think a beautiful way for Nintendo to speak directly to their fans.
It is.
Without the filter of criticism, which is a kind of a double-edged sword. I think that critics need to be there and say, hey, this thing you just announced isn't as big as you're making it seem. But at the same time, critics can be there just to criticize and just to be like, oh, Nintendo sucks. So it's kind of a double-edged sword.
I mean, it would be kind of nice to see Sony and Microsoft do something very similar where it's like, it's a pre-recorded thing. They just say outright, hey, we're going to do this stuff for the next 6 months. We've got, all these games in the lineup for our systems, and we got these features coming in 6 months or whatever.
I mean, it's smart for Nintendo to do it
because
I think in the past 15 years, Nintendo has failed at talking to the
public.
Yeah, the hardcore, the enthusiast press. They really can't get off the ground really well in the way that they can talk to their fans.
Yeah.
It's preaching to the choir, but Nintendo fans love Nintendo. So one of the things that came out of this Nintendo Direct conference that I don't agree with is they're launching the Virtual Console for the Wii U.
Which I thought should have been in the box from the get-go.
Well, you can load it up in Wii mode, and then you can go
do
on
it, but
and do Virtual Console. So if you have Virtual Console games on your Wii Virtual Console account, and you want them to be on your Wii U
version
Virtual Console
of it whenever it comes out,
you're going to have to pay more.
Why?
$1 to $1.50 if it's a Super Nintendo game, $1.50, $1 if it's a Nintendo game.
What did it also do N64 stuff?
No, they have not announced. That's the other thing. We'll get to that.
Okay.
So I don't agree with that, and here's why. They're adding stuff to the games, which is good. They're adding Miiverse functionality. They're adding, you can assign the game controls on the gamepad, and you can actually play it on the gamepad.
Well, that's good.
And the Nintendo faithful obviously are really enthused about this, but I think Nintendo, it's hard to say, because Nintendo could have just come out and said you have to buy the Virtual Console games all over again, which is what they already did on the 3DS.
Yeah, well.
Or they could have come out and said, just hit this button and it'll upgrade. And
that would have been nice.
Accepted that cost. I think it's it's bad for fans that they're charging them $1 and $1.50
or whatever it is. Yeah, anytime you charge somebody for something they've already bought, it's kind of BS. You know, that is not a good. I don't think that's a good way to do it.
The argument has been made that they're adding functionality, but at the same time, like
that functionality should have been there in the original, like on the Wii.
Would you pay $1 if they added trophy support to Chrono Trigger, the PSN version on the PS3?
Probably not.
No. And that's basically what they're doing for the Miiverse.
Which, that's goofy.
Except in the Miiverse, in the Wii U, they're saying you can still play your old game, you just have to load up this separate emulator version, go through all these menus, and then load it up.
That's goofy.
Instead of it being just easy, like it is on the PS3, you know, they don't, on the Vita and on the PSP, you don't have to load into an emulation mode to play these games.
No, because when you go to play it, it just automatically loads up the emulator and then kicks into it.
And I think Nintendo hardcore fans haven't ever seen this work correctly in the way that Sony fans have.
Well,
like I buy a copy of Final Fantasy V, and it's on
your Vita, your PS, and your PS3, whatever.
Yeah, even if I have to go, I mean, and I think it's stupid that Sony doesn't allow certain PS1 titles on the PS Vita store just because they haven't been tested yet. I think that's incredibly stupid of Sony, and it's frustrating for me.
But I mean,
especially when you can just load them onto your Vita yourself.
Yeah, I was gonna say you just download it and put it on there, just like with the PSP games. So
yeah, so not only is Nintendo adding that level of frustration to this with you don't get the portable version of a Virtual Console game, you have to buy that totally separate. You don't get the Wii U special version, you have to buy that, you know,
or you have to pay a premium
with an added upgrade
fee.
Price.
Yeah,
and so that's frustrating.
Yeah,
and then on top of all this, the Wii U Virtual Console will only support Nintendo and Super Nintendo and Game Boy Advance at some point. They have announced no other platforms. Now, for guys like us, where I think most of the money I spent on my Wii, I spent on the Virtual Console.
Yeah.
Virtual Console on my Wii has TurboGrafx 16,
has
Sega
all these
Genesis,
old consoles.
Has some arcade games.
Well, it's a good reason for you to not get rid of your Wii.
Yeah, so, and it's frustrating, and it irks me because
I can see that.
Going forward, are those platform holders going to come back on the Wii U Virtual Console? Basically, Nintendo had when the Virtual Console launched, they had an industry-leading platform to play classic retro games.
They did.
And with this Wii U launch of the Virtual Console, they've managed to basically take all of that and throw it out the window.
Well, that seems to be what Nintendo does, though. Oh. They do something cool, but then they do something else, and it's like, well, what the hell?
I always felt that Nintendo's always kind of evil to their fans. Basically, if you want to play Super Mario World on your Wii U, not only do you have to pay is it $8 or $10 for Super Nintendo games?
I have no idea. I never had the Virtual Console on my Wii.
We'll say it's $8. So you've probably already spent that $8 to play it on your Wii.
Yeah. Now you have to
spend $1.50 to play it on your Wii U. And if you want to play it on your 3DS, I don't know that it's available for the 3DS yet or not, you then have to pay $8 again.
Yeah.
Whereas the other system, and where I think you should be taking your money to the Sony platform is, do you want to? I'm serious.
I understand it's a better way to do it.
Do you want to play Chrono Trigger? Yes. Okay. Well, buy it once, and you can play.
Here's
Chrono
$10.
Trigger.
You can play it on your PSP, your Vita, or your PS3,
or your
it's cloud
PlayStation
saved.
mobile device. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot they've given that distinction to certain mobile phones.
Mobile
and
phones,
like that.
and you paid once. You had the rights to use that. I don't think they're cloud saved. Are they cloud saved? I doubt
it depends on the game. I know my.
Anyway.
Something was cloud saved that I didn't think was. So we're good.
Anywho, so that's like, and they always talk about, of course, Nintendo's not forced, you're not entitled to that kind of special treatment that Sony gives you, but that treatment that Sony gives you also shouldn't be special treatment.
No,
it's how the industry should work.
It should be one account, one purchase per item.
Yeah.
Now, I understand, it's a little bit more difficult to make these things run on your Wii U, maybe. Like maybe the emulator software was difficult to write, but you need to treat your customers better.
Yeah,
like you got people who are out here buying this new system that a lot of people have no reason to buy right now.
Yeah.
Like,
well, now the other thing at the Nintendo Direct is they were like, Smash Brothers is coming. We're going to do an HD version of Wind Waker.
There is a Zelda in development. There's a Mario in development. Great, show us.
There's a Mario Kart in development. Like, so it's all these things, and they're kind of talking to their fans.
I mean,
But I think that's Nintendo's downfall is they've decided to be comfortable and talk to their fans only.
Well, and they're hoping to win over new fans, but it's just like for you and me, there's no reason to buy a Wii U. Most of the games
we already have all the games we want.
Yeah,
on the virtual console we actually own,
or have physical copies of, and a system that still plays them. But I mean, like, just as far as the Wii is concerned, Wii U is, in my mind, most of the games that are out on it right now, you can get on other consoles, and they're probably a better experience.
Yeah.
The second screen, from all indicators, doesn't really do any benefit. Well, now that what is it, Marvelous or Wonderful 101 or whatever that is, that looks kind of cool, but at the same time, it's like, you could do that with the Vita and the PS3. You could do that with a tablet and an Xbox controller.
Yeah. And one of the things coming back to it, I think Nintendo always kind of charges a premium for the fans that want to play Mario.
Yeah.
And they realize that they have a stranglehold. If you were a Mario fan...
You can only get Mario one place.
You can only get Mario one place, and we're going to keep charging you to get Mario that one place.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it's not a good business practice.
No. Well,
it makes them money, but it makes them money by abusing their fans.
Yeah. And Nintendo needs to take some hints from Microsoft and Sony and kind of figure out a way to share all that content that they've already purchased once, probably even twice if they've got a DS.
I mean, we've talked about this before.
Between all their consoles.
If the Wii U fails and Nintendo doesn't allow Mario on other devices...
Doesn't sell the IP or doesn't develop for other consoles.
You will not be playing Mario.
Ever.
Like Nintendo
or Zelda.
will go to ground with that. Well, I'm of the opinion that you haven't been playing a new Zelda game since 2000. Like, Ocarina of Time was kind of
probably the
last
last
time you played
one,
a new Zelda game.
Yeah, I know. They're all the same themes over and over again.
It's like everyone's like, isn't Skyward Sword wonderful? Like, yeah, Ocarina of Time is a great game.
Yeah, except, but you can do the things with the sword for real. No, you can't.
So, speaking of going out of business, the other big news this week was THQ.
Poor THQ.
And Atari. I'm not as upset about THQ.
I am.
Why?
Because I liked Saints Row. I liked Saints Row the Third.
They made poor business decisions.
They did. There was some bad times.
And when you look at the history of THQ and how they were basically a licensed game.
Yeah.
Churning warehouse.
Yeah.
That decided they were going to go into other things, and then they were going to go into mobile, and then
it did not work out.
They tried so many business plans in such a small time that them going bankrupt was not amazing. Wasn't a shock to the system. Now, granted, I do like the Red Faction games. I do like games that THQ produces, and I'm sorry to see those people lose their jobs.
Well, some of those, I mean, a lot of the development houses got picked up by other production companies, right? Like, Company of Heroes, or Relic, got bought up by Sega.
Like, immediately.
Just done. Ubisoft picked up THQ Montreal.
Who is that? What did they do?
They were working on two under development games, 1666 and Underdog.
Interesting.
Let's see. Take-Two bought up Evolve at Turtle Rock Studios. Oh, Total Rock Studios. They bought the license for that.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of stuff got bought up.
THQ was let's not beat around the bush. THQ, their bread and butter was licensed titles. They made their name on wrestling games, which you're not looking like. I'm sorry, I'm just not that audience.
Well, I mean,
it's like Madden. I understand that people want it, but I don't understand why. So it's sad to see this company go by the wayside, but not as sad as the other company that went by the wayside.
Yeah, Atari filed for Chapter 11 this last week.
Yes,
right?
and Atari has been kind of. The Atari that is in existence now is not the Atari.
It's not the Atari of
1970s
and
when
80s.
We were kids. When they say Atari's 40 years old, they actually mean the name Atari.
Yeah, not any of the companies, because they've come and gone and come and gone.
Yeah. So Atari, it was actually the Atari that's filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy is actually the American arm of Infogrames.
Yeah.
And Infogrames are the guys that recently are kind of famous for using the Dungeons & Dragons license.
Mm-hmm.
Things like Neverwinter Nights 2 and other things. The recent Baldur's Gate Extended Edition or Expanded Edition, whatever we want to call it.
Yeah.
But seeing the Atari name go away is probably
well, I mean,
especially considering like what you and I did on Friday.
Yeah, we went
on Friday. We went. There's a local. If you're in Kansas City, you should check out Screenland Crossroads. They've just opened up a vintage arcade.
Yeah.
And the games, a lot of them have seen better days. They're all well loved, but it's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. There's a long list on their website of all the games that they do have.
Yes.
And some of them don't work at all. Some of them work mostly. But, sitting there playing, what was it? Tapper and Root Beer Tapper.
Tapper.
We played through down on some Donkey Kong, all three, like 1, 2, and 3 they have, the original Super Mario Brothers, things like that. But seeing, Centipede go away. We haven't seen a Centipede game since, the PS1 there was a Centipede game?
Yeah.
And how can you reinvent Pong, really?
That's true.
Seeing
these properties, like if I had $1 million billion,
$1 million billion,
I would buy the Atari name.
And all its licenses?
No, not the licenses. And I would probably buy if they still have them. They probably don't have them now that I think about it. But if they still have them, I would buy the arcade licenses. Mm-hmm. And I would open up a series of bar arcades. If you have a bar arcade in your city, you know what we're talking about. If you don't have a bar arcade in your city, I feel really bad for you.
Yeah.
Barcades are awesome. And I would basically I would use that Atari brand name. The same way that Infogram used the Atari brand name because they couldn't.
Because nobody would buy an Infogram game.
Yeah, it was always a French company. They couldn't get into the American market. And I would use it to open up bar arcades.
Yeah, barcades are awesome.
Yes. So an Atari has like a certain... Conan O'Brien made fun of it, but it has a certain soft spot.
Yeah, it does. And
anybody
who's been a gamer forever.
If Nintendo went away, I would feel the same way.
Yeah, because you would lose something that you loved from when you were a kid. It's just
I think that's why. And Nintendo fanboys always talk about haters, but I think that's why a lot of the haters hate what Nintendo's doing now.
Yeah.
Because we don't want it to go away. We don't want Nintendo to be the next Atari and be sitting here in 10 years and saying, oh well, they filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and now Sony's going to buy Mario and Zelda and.
Actually, that might be a good thing.
Well.
The PS5 launch title, Super Mario 12. That'd be kind of awesome.
I think the Mario that Sony would give you would be markedly different than the Mario you get from Nintendo.
Yeah, probably.
Proof positive, the GameCube Mario, Super Mario Sunshine, was kind of that Nintendo trying to ape what was successful on the PS1 and PS2.
It was.
And it's the worst Mario game.
It's like...
Well, core Mario game. Mario is Missing is actually the worst Mario game. And yes, I've played the Philips CDI one, and it's at least a game. Mario is Missing is not.
Isn't that the one where you play Luigi?
Yes.
Then it's not a Mario game. It's a Luigi game, and that's why it's terrible.
But Mario's in the title. Anyway.
It doesn't matter.
But we don't want to be sitting here and saying...
No, we don't want to hear that,
Nintendo
gone bankrupt.
I don't want to hear that Taito goes under or Capcom goes under.
We don't want to hear these development houses or any of these big production companies going out, because then people are losing their jobs, and it's just bad for everybody involved. Not just us. It's not
history of it.
Yeah, and it's
like even we talk about how I don't like THQ particularly well. THQ has history behind it.
Oh yeah.
Granted, they've only been around since the early '90s, but they did good games.
Yeah, they had a ton of licensed games back in the mid '90s. Like they did
Home Alone.
They did the Home Alone. Yeah,
but Red Faction is a good game. It's a good series. There are things about it that I enjoy. Saints Row is the same way.
Yeah, and
I don't want to see that go away.
And guilty pleasure time, but I did like
a
couple. No, I did like a couple of the wrestling games that were out on the N64, and it's just those are the kinds of games that I was playing.
Like when Sega got out of the hardware business, and people always talk about how bad Sonic games are now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Sega still releases those old Sonic games so you can play them.
Yeah, and Sonic 4 Episode 1 wasn't that bad.
I actually kind of like it. I've been playing a little bit off and on since it was on sale on. But
PSN.
So it's still around. So like Capcom, if
we
you watch the
Capcom
show,
games.
like I love Capcom. I make no bones about it.
Yeah.
Like if people ask me like, oh, you're a Sony fanboy, I was like, I'm actually a Capcom fanboy. Like I will pay for Street Fighter over and over and over again.
Did you buy the 25th anniversary edition?
No, because it sold out before I could get a hold of it.
Oh, sad face.
So I could have bought the Xbox 360 edition, but even I couldn't bring myself to do that.
But you don't have an Xbox, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So I don't want to see this go away. Like Capcom's releasing that arcade collection coming up. I want to go back and play games like Final Fight and Black Dragon, and we don't want to see these go away. And I don't want to see Atari's games go away. I don't want to see Millipede go away. I don't want to see, definitely not Pong go away. After we watched the movie, I was out there playing Centipede, kind of a little inebriated, and I still had total amount of fun with it.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's the one thing I've always said is I don't understand how Atari is floundering because they did such a good job in the arcade era of wanting to keep you pushing that 25 cents in the machine.
Because they really haven't, like, outside of all those arcade IPs, name like 3 that have been successful on modern consoles.
The Dungeons and Dragons.
That was not something they developed. That was something they bought.
It's true.
In-house developed. I mean...
Well, that's the other thing. Atari doesn't in-house develop much anymore.
Yeah, they just slap their name on stuff. And
yeah, because they're a publisher now. They're not a developer.
And that's... So, maybe they're just not finding the right stuff to push.
What was it? The year before last, when Midway went under, we talked about Mortal Kombat going away, and it's obviously not going away.
It's not going away.
Luckily, a white knight showed up in the form of Warner Brothers, but even then, I was still worried that the Midway arcade stuff was going to go away.
Oh, yeah.
And they released the Midway Treasures this past holiday season, and even that's not up to par.
No, I mean...
So when you have these licenses and these titles and everything, and people are taking care of them that aren't the original makers, and they're not part of that original ecosystem, that original name, it's hard to get them to be as enthusiastic as the fans are.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've got something that you just want to push out for money. You're going to do a slapdash job and just be like, here, put it on a disc, let's go.
Yeah.
$20 a head.
And I don't want Tapper like that.
No. Well, and you could do Tapper. You could totally do Tapper really good with especially with the 2 controllers that we have now. Yeah, you just down and up, down and up, down and up.
Well, and then you use the little thumb pad. I mean, that would be fun.
You could do that.
I would totally pay for that.
I could see Tapper doing that. But.
So, like, we don't want to see these companies go away. I definitely didn't want to see Atari go away, at least the name, because for me, there are certain names that mean video games, and they mean what we do, like things like id, things like PlayStation, Nintendo, and Atari was one of those names.
Yeah.
And it's gone.
Well, and
it will be gone.
Still... Well, yeah. It still will be one of those names. It just won't be something that we see anything new from anymore.
Yeah. Like, I don't think Sony's going to ride in on a white horse, or Microsoft. Well, Microsoft maybe, but...
They might.
And buy the Atari brand.
Yeah, but no. I doubt that's going to
happen. Instead of calling it the Xbox 720, it would be kind of cool if it was the Xbox Atari.
No. No. The Atari 720?
No, the Xbox Atari.
Yeah, I understand where you're going because they don't want to lose the Xbox brand.
That's why they named it the Xbox 360, because they didn't want to name it the Xbox 2, because then people would go, oh, well, this is the Xbox 2, that's the PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
PlayStation 3 is obviously
Well, we'll see what happens with them. It'll probably be a month before we hear anything.
Yeah, well, THQ was, their bankruptcy was dismantling, was going through for a while.
Yeah, it was.
But
they just finally did a sale last week.
That was slowed down by the end of the year and the holiday season. So... Atari's Chapter 11, Atari America.
Yeah.
Will be very interesting. We'll
see what happens by
E3.
Yes.
So before we go, just want to remind you that this is the end of January, which means February is next.
Oh, crap.
In February, the shortest month of our year, we would encourage you to beat 4 video games. It's called 4 in February, #4IF. Share it around. Tell us what you're beating. Tell us what you're not beating. Let's get rid of those piles of shame. Don't forget to spay and neuter your Pokemon. Yes. And we will see you around. Bye.